acres, we are simply looking for the following investors. We are looking for petrochemical and fertilizer majors. We are looking for polymer manufacturers. We are looking for people who can operate bonded warehouses. And we are also looking for an operator who can develop and operate a free trade zone. In that very specific region, the heavy industrial zone, we have a 32-acre land, which is dedicated for the free trade zone for purposes of production for export market, which will also attract the benefits that accrue to production for export. Lastly, in that very particular zone, we are looking for investors in industrial waste management. So if you're a farm out there dedicated in industrial waste management, this is an area for you to be focused in. So our guarantee is that futuristically and for now, you have direct access to the refinery with a large service plots. Like the CEO has intimated, that we updated the master plan from the master plan of 2018 to the one that we updated in 2023. The original master plan reflected a flat plot of land, but now we have reflected the topography, did 94 kilometers of road designs, and the beauty is we have a utility corridor on each road design that gives you direct access for a tap and play for electricity, water, and ICT. So if you are an investor interested in the heavy industrial zone, this is an opportunity for you to come and join the Kabalega petrol-based industrial zone. The second zone that we are looking at is the light and downstream industrial zone. Many have asked, are we only looking at large majors? This is the opportunity where the small and medium enterprises are coming into play. We have over 688 acres of land dedicated for SMEs. And here, who are we looking at? We are simply looking at people who can do downstream product processing, packaging and assembling, and also value addition. So are you in textile? Are you in automotives? Are you in plastic or any other petrochemical production? Are you in car assembling? This is a zone for you to come and be part of this historical journey at KIP. The other zone is the agriculture zone. Just as intimated before, we want to broaden our value addition and benefit the agriculture sector. Ali Sekatawa today morning has indicated the interlinkages of the oil and gas sector with the other sectors of the economy. The second international airport was originally designed for the bringing in of equipment for the construction of the refinery. So with these cargo planes coming in with heavy equipment for construction of the refinery, we had to see to it that they do not go back empty. That is the very reason why the agriculture zone was situated just in KIP with close proximity to the second international airport. So the question is, are we looking for people to cultivate in KIP? Are we looking for people to rear animals in KIP? The answer is simple. This is an industrial park. We shall only be accommodating agro-processing and agro-packaging. Therefore, here we are looking at people who can do dairy products, that is processing and packaging, fruits, horticulture, processing and packaging, and above it all, are you an agro-processor? Are you a food security investor? Are you export-oriented? Or are you operating in cold chain and value addition farms? This is a zone that has fully been dedicated for you for the purposes of promoting export of agricultural products and adding value to our economy. The second last zone that we're going to look at today is the business and commercial zone. The question the bankers are in here asking, where shall we be situated? The insurance companies are asking, where shall they be situated? Just like any form of trade with industry present, we shall need the banking sector to support the trade of these particular industries present. We shall need the insurance companies to insure these businesses. We shall need hospitality centers, recreation centers for the same purpose. We shall also need the accommodation of travel and tourism agencies or companies to operate within this area. So are you an investor in that particular area, in logistics and warehousing operations, hospitality and events development, retail chain, fuel retail operations, and mixed-use developers? This is a zone that has been fully dedicated for you. You don't have to be mixed up with other people. Lastly is the residential and the estate zone. At full capacity, this industrial park is envisioned to accommodate over 35,000 people, 24/7 operational. What does this mean? Investors are interested in having their workers situated in close proximity to their areas of operation. To give you context, as earlier indicated, KIP is as large as the land area of Entebbe district. Now imagine how many people stay in Entebbe district. So for this very particular purpose, in our master plan, we designed 217.6 acres of land to simply accommodate our workers that shall be working in the industrial park. So here we shall have the real estate developers, and given that it is of that huge capacity, we have provided for a health center for facility. So if you are an investor in health facilities and you're capable to fit the certification of Ministry of Health in terms of health center for, this is an area for you for investment. We are looking at situating primary schools, secondary schools, and a technical vocational center for purposes of accommodating the children of the staff of the work of the staff of these different industries in the industrial park. Just like Entebbe, just imagine how many schools are in Entebbe district, how many hospital or health centers are there, and how many residential areas are there. So this is built for the demand from the projected depopulation of over 35,000 people, and we are ready to accommodate you in this particular area. So the CEO hinted about the 5 profiles which we have talked about, the plots that are on market with effect of today during this national launch. There are 9 acres in the heavy industrial zone. There are 15 acres in the downstream industrial zone. Sorry, there are 15 plots. There are 14 plots in the light industrial zone. There are 8 plots in the agricultural zone. You may be wondering, only 8 plots, but they are measuring over 74 acres of land. So we are also putting to market 66 commercial stroke business zone plots, measuring 45 acres. In the recent newspapers, you have seen the Ministry of Wildlife and Antiquities advertise for investors in hospitality for the purposes of setting up hotels for AFCON, but also in close proximity to the airport. As a project, we have planned for 4 airport hotels in close proximity with the airport for purposes of serving the airport traffic, but also futuristically anticipating the momentum and pickup of the Hoima City Stadium for sports and recreational purposes. So are you an investor interested in hospitality? This is an area for you. The high density and low density residentials have also been provided for with 13 to 15 acres each. So with over 536.92 acres, the question is, how do I be part of this journey? It is as simple as the Uganda National Oil Company, we do have a land allocation policy, and we do not shy away from stipulating what this land allocation policy entails. One, there are 4 ways in which an investor can come and be onboarded in the industrial park. One is the open bidding, just like what we are going to reach at in phase 2, where we are openly marketing the industrial park, identifying the plots and sensitizing investors based on what investment opportunities are available for them. Then we shall call, like the CEO intimated, we always have stakeholder engagements because we want the investors to be certain of, one, what is the fees structure of the industrial park, two, where are we in terms of infrastructure development. Once you agree with us, we take you to the site, you view the plots that are available and the topography and the infrastructure that is present at that particular time. If you're still interested, we onboard you into an expression of interest. You express your interest, we request for your, a detailed expression of interest is basically historical data. Then the request for proposal is the detail of the project that you're planning to put in place in KIP. So selective bidding is the other form through which an investor can be onboarded in KIP. Here we are looking at the key majors, basically situated in the heavy industrial zone. So the polymer converter investors, we have the fertilizer investors, we also have the petrochemical complex. We know that there are few players in the industry and therefore there is no need for marketing, but rather direct reach out and engagement with them. So our land allocation policy gives the mandate to our executive committee to reach out to 3 potential investors, assess them, evaluate, and get the best of them for the best of the country. So that is the selective bidding process. Then direct land allocation, like the CEO had communicated, is that we have government agencies that are going to facilitate business in KIP. Those are given direct land allocation, but still would require their proposals in terms of how are they going to support the businesses, to what magnitude, what utilities do they need. Then all projects that are going to be in joint ventureship with the Uganda National Oil Company are also given land in KIP with a direct purpose of benefiting UNOC as the commercial arm of government in expanding its business portfolio, but also given that by the time the Uganda National Oil Company has committed to be an investment partner with you, we have already done the preliminary assessment, and therefore we are confident enough to have you under the direct allocation lot. Then the unsolicited investors, many unsolicited proposals, many of you could have asked themselves, why the 10 investors? Why are we recommending them for award? It is as simple as we have a land allocation policy that provides for unsolicited applications. So all the 10 investors that you're going to see being recognized today came through the unsolicited pool. So they applied without us going to the market. Their application without us going to the market does not excuse us from not taking them through the detail or the rigor of assessment, that is the EOI and the RFP stage. So at that point in time, we believe that to be an investor in KIP, this is simply what you need to do. One, you have to be, the eligibility, you have to be a recognizable company by our Companies Act of Uganda of 2012. And therefore, as an industrial park, we operate a B2B model. We do not entertain our single, like an individual, say CEO will not come and apply for land in KIP. She'll come as Nabanja Proscovia Enterprises, as a company that can operate within KIP. We need to hold them accountable as entities. Two, we need that, two is the fact that you have a tenure or a sublease initially to curb people who just hold land. The provisions we are making is that we give you a 5-year sublease. We extend it to 25 years based on your performance, and extend it further and further to the extent of the tune of the 99-year sublease that we have as the Uganda National Oil Company. How are we curbing and ensuring that investors really do perform when they come to the industrial park? The first thing is that they'll give us a performance bond. The performance bond is 10% of your cumulative annual service fee for the first 5 years. So if you're 5 years, you're supposed to pay about 10 USDs. That is just an estimate. So we expect that you'll give us 10% of that 10, which is 0.1. And failure to develop your project within the first 2 years, first 5 years, we shall cash out your bond. And failure to do visible activity within the first 2 years, visible activities. You could be getting your Asia project brief, because we have already done a regional Asia of over 20-kilometer radius from the center of KIP. You would be doing permitting, or you're getting approvals of your construction plans. So we are asking you that if you're not doing any activity during the 2 years, we are at the liberty of withdrawing our land from you, and we are not shying away from that. So as the National Oil Company, we have 5 gates. So of the two gates is the expression of interest. And in the expression of interest, all the investors out there who are really interested in investing in KIP, this is the moment you get to listen to what you should prepare before you come to us. One, we need your certificate of incorporation at that particular point of time. And the person who should be applying for that particular land should have the powers of attorney to apply for that, to bind your company. We need your shareholder identification. If they're nationals, we need their national IDs. If they're internationals, we need their passports provided to us. We need your company administrative structure to see how structurally diverse you are and how the project you'll be proposing in KIP shall be reflectable in that particular structure. We have a detailed form and a format of a letter that you send to us detailing what exactly you want, your land area that you propose within KIP, the evidence of doing a similar business like that you're proposing in KIP. In this industrial park, we are not entertaining one-timers. We are not an experiment where you're coming to experiment in the industrial park. Given the high risk of this industrial park, we expect that each investor who is coming to do business with us must have done business before in that particular sector. If you don't have that business or that experience, we have given you a provision of coming on board with a credible joint venture partner to cover your experience gap, but also to cover your financial gap. We will require your utility requirements. Given that the industrial park that we are developing, we are using a demand-driven infrastructure development. That's why you saw the CEO detailed the phased structure of how we are onboarding our infrastructure to cater for our projected investor onboarding statistics. As per from the Ministry of Finance, we are expected to onboard 30% of all the plots in the industrial park by 2030. The requirement is simple. We also need your QHSE historical data. We need evidence that you have employed Ugandans, and if you are a foreign agency operating in foreign territory, we need evidence that you have employed nationals of that particular territory to give us comfort to proceed with you to the expression of interest. The other is, initially we had accommodated a 1 million service fee, a 1 million application non-refundable fee. From our preliminary studies, we are a commercial arm of government, and we require that. Many of you may be wondering, why did the pilot phase investors pay 1 million as application fee, and right now we are demanding for 1,000 USD? It is as simple as the rigor that we put in terms of assessment, the investment that we put in terms of marketing, and the time and attention to detail that we give in terms of verifying these structures, verifying these certificates you are sending unto us. That takes time, but also would want to sieve out investors. So to us, a serious investor will not shy away from paying a 1,000 USD. If you can't pay 3.7 million as application fee to facilitate your business onboarding in KIP, we believe that you're not the investor that we are looking for in KIP. That the next stage is the request for proposal. Under the request of proposal, we have verified that you're a credible company in existence. You have your historical data. Now it is time to tell us what exactly do you want to do in KIP. The first thing we shall require from you, of course, by now, since it is a 6.5 turnaround time of land allocation, we need your trading license, and we need your tax clearances, we need your NSSF, we need the power of attorney. We have also seen that investors' powers of attorney have changed in the period of assessment. So we need to certify ourselves that this proposal that you're submitting to us is still valid with the powers of attorney. We need your preliminary architectural design. A person may be wondering, why do you need all that? Can't I just acquire land? Either way, you are going to do that same rigor if you bought the land elsewhere. So we are helping you and supporting you walk this journey with us and ensuring that by the time we give you land, you're ready to plug and play and continue. So you will not have to do your architectural design after we have given you the land. So the requirement is simple. For 4 weeks, you'll do your EOI with us. Then we shall expect you to prepare this documentation in 4 weeks. So your architectural layout of the business that you propose in KIP, your production process with a flow chart. Some investors have asked for, say, 50 acres of land, and when they submitted their production process flow with the safety measures put in place, we realized that the only land requirement they needed was 10 acres. So to do optimal land allocation and to ensure that we do not deprive others by awarding people more than they need to operate, that's why we need your process flow. We need your implementation schedule in terms of, in the first 5 years, what are your activities in each year? And what is your risk management plan? What are your utility requirements in each year for the first 5 years? What is your QHSE plan based on your historical data? We are developing a smart city, and we are so keen to sustainability. Imagine we have to clear over 7,000 acres of land. We need to ensure that we preserve biodiversity. In our master plan, we have provided for green belts where we are trying to plant trees. We have so far, like CEO communicated, we have planted over 12,000 trees in KIP. We want to know what is your sustainability strategy within the plot that we are going to provide to you? Do you have green areas? How are you going to treat your staff? And so on. We need to be certain that the business you're proposing to us you can finance that particular business. We have asked investors to provide to us their audited books of accounts for 3 consecutive years, and our focus has been, how much money do you have at bank at that particular period of time? We have also requested the investors to provide to us their detailed business plan, where we look at their financing structure and look at their debt to equity. If your debt to equity ratio does not rhyme with your bank statement, or if your debt provision is not substantiated with a confirmation or a guarantee from the bank that they can finance you up to the tune of the debt that you're proposing, then we decline your proposal until you prove to us beyond reasonable doubt that you're capable of financing that particular project. We are being rigorous as such because we do not want to repeat historical mistakes in industrial parks. So at that particular point in time, we also request you to confirm whether you'll be able to pay the service fee. Failure to confirm to pay the service fee, we do not progress you to the next level. So as an investor preparing for that, for this phase 2, we request you that you prepare in advance, you get your technical teams ready to advance, and also get your finances ready for the project that you are up to in KIP. So this is our phase 2, and that's how the plot system or the map and where these particular plots are situated. In the northwest is where we have the downstream industries and the light industries, and those are the plots that we are putting up on the market. In the east, from the center, from the apron of the airport to the west, that's where we have the high density residential areas, and we have the low density residential areas to the southwest. Then we also have to the southeast on my right, sorry, on your left, that's where we have situated the commercial area. So are you interested in those particular zones that we have put out? The areas are well demarcated. The plots were surveyed. So we know the exact measure of land. We know where they are situated, and we know exactly what you're supposed to do there and exactly how much it will take you to develop that particular area. So with us, we know that when we put these plots on market, more than one investor can apply for more than one plot of land, but we also know that more than one investor can apply for the same plot of land. And what will be the deciding factor? One is your national content plan for that particular area. We need to see that you are capable of employing Ugandans, you're capable of transferring knowledge and technology to Ugandans, but also we need to know that you're capable of sourcing locally available goods and services for those that are locally available for use in your particular segment. We hold you accountable to all the commitments that you put in your RFP continually as a performance KPI, and those are the matrices that we shall be assessing you against. For purposes of national content, it's also a requirement that we are going to have a vocational center, or we are also going to require that you train nationals in this regard. So students in KIP will train 3 days at the vocational school and 2 days to gain practical industrial experience in the different industries. And that is a requirement that is going to be passed on to every investor that is coming in KIP. So if you're that kind of investor that we're looking for in KIP Phase 2 investor onboarding, the 6 zones are open. The 6 zones are open for domestic and international investors, and we are beginning from July, and by March 2027, as CEO has communicated, we shall be ready to hand over the site. So if 10 investors have already committed, and we have 221 plots of land, the question is, what are you waiting for to join this momentous project under the oil and gas sector? As UNOC, we have proved over and over again that we can deliver across the petroleum value chain, and there are so many testimonials based on our credibility in delivery for efficiency and effectiveness. As your partner in the Uganda's oil and gas sector, and as we pride ourselves as a company that is creating value for generations, we want you to create this value for generations together with us by investing in KIP. So KIP is open for business. Invest in KIP, and thank you so much.
The story is told of a man who prepared a huge feast. His assumption was that his friends would show up, so he sent out invitations. And they all had all brilliant excuses for not turning up. Then it was possible to call people, the vanguards, to come and attend. But UNOC has done its bit. It has done its bit. Now the rest is up to the rest to show up. But our focus now will be on those who have already taken the initiative. And we'll begin with the National Enterprise Corporation. I mean, this is UPDF. Give them a very big hand clap. Let's see what that looks like. Then other than National Enterprise Corporation, there's also Roofings Group. Roofings Group needs no introduction. Then there is Ventovia Capital as well. Then there is it Briand? And then Briand. Then there's UBL, the great UBL. Of course, Uganda Airlines. And then number 7, I'm not so sure I know them, but I hear them a lot, Next Media. Do you know who those are? We want to thank the 7. And I would like our production team, if you may, run us through the videos, beginning with National Enterprise Corporation, if you may. Thank you. Excellent.
The country is walking towards the direction of agro-processing and industrialization. So being able to have fertilizers ready or available on the domestic market will definitely play a big role towards increasing the output of our soil. If you're going into commercial production, you definitely need to use fertilizers. For us as NEC, we have really had a seamless journey to obtaining land in the industrial park, but there has been a lot of will from UNOC, which is a fully government entity. So this industrial park is a government park. And what is government interested in? They're interested in value. So the refinery is a lifeline to this project. And this refinery will have readily available the raw materials that we need. And those will be the ones that we shall use as feedstock to our project in order to be able to produce the ammonium nitrates. And of course, a project of this scale comes with a lot of benefits for the country. So there will be import substitution. And when you import, you use dollars in almost of foreign exchange. So we shall also be saving the country on foreign exchange. And also there is a very high chance that the fertilizers that are manufactured here will be cheaper than those that are imported. And so that is all going to be a benefit. The project like this comes with a lot of jobs. Of course, the NEC will also be able to remit taxes to government. So all around, it's going to be a project that is very beneficial to the country. The country is walking towards the direction of agro-processing and industrialization. So being able to have fertilizers ready or available on the domestic market will definitely
we have the appetite to invest much more than what we have already invested in this country and in the region at large. When we heard of the opportunity, first of all, the oil and gas sector getting into action into the Bunyoro area, and part of the package was developing an industrial park. we thought it right to say that this is an opportunity for us to expand and grow our wide range of products to include more satisfaction to the emerging demand of the country and as well globally. When you see Kabalega Industrial Park is well structured, well located, it is near Lake Albert, it is in the part whereby when you consider DRC, when you consider proximity to South Sudan, and then the other parts of Uganda, it's only ideal for us to think of putting an investment there. Steel drums is one product that we import unknowingly, I would say. It is packaging material for oil products, it is packaging material for paints and extra. So we envisaged that there's going to be for these steel drums and related products, and if we can make these from Uganda, and then as we promote Buy Uganda, Build Uganda, this will be our own, and of course we'll be creating demand for other products. As we create jobs, we will be paying salaries. These salaries are giving disposable income to the workers. The workers will also be able to invest into other things.
Ventovia is a Ugandan investment firm that centers on commercial and industrial projects in strategic developmental areas in Uganda. So we go into industrial parks, we develop and also build to manage. Kabalega has the oil, but the oil needs the infrastructure around it to grow. So we may be investing now, but the truth of the matter, we're investing for the decades to come. 20, 30 years from now, Hoima is going to be an amazing place, with all the growth and development. So coming in as first investors, coming in as putting the services around it, So the oil is one thing, but the services that...
Stuff is happening in Uganda and at this time, because, I mean, we've waited for way too long for this to happen. You just saw what is already happening, and the roads being built, the power coming, the land that is ready, investor ready, and how you as investors and businesses can actually get in. So just to speak about the update on KIP development and investor preparedness, please welcome me on stage the lady leading from the front, the CEO of the Uganda National Oil Company, Proskovia Nabanja.
Karibu.
All right, thank you,
Uganda welcomes you.
Our permanent secretary, the chairperson of the board of directors for Uganda National Oil Company, our directors present, management of UNOC, the ministries, departments and agency representatives, business partners, our phase one investors, potential investors, and everyone watching us this morning, thank you for joining us, and good morning. As a national oil company, our mandate is really to manage the commercial aspects of the oil and gas sector and ensure that we maximize value out of the oil and gas sector across the entire petroleum value chain in the upstream, midstream, downstream operations where we participate on behalf of the state. And our mission is to sustainably develop and manage these states' commercial interests
in a way that meaningfully contributes to Uganda's socio-economic transformation and with the sole purpose of creating value for generations. And UNOC's vision looks ahead towards profitability by 2030 as we operate across the petroleum value chain. As our board chairman indicated, in 2019, Cabinet approved UNOC's participation in Uganda's midstream projects, refinery, East African crude oil pipeline, Kampala storage terminal, the park, the Petro-based Industrial Park, which is the reason as to why we are here today. We have quite a wide portfolio of projects as shown on the deck, and this is guided by key values and key principles as to why we exist. Safety first, care for people and the environment, integrity, excellence, collaboration, and innovation, which shape how the company builds partnerships. And no wonder we've spread our feet across the entire continent with strategic partnerships stretching from as far as the USA, Europe, the Middle East, Malaysia, South Africa, and this list continues to grow. So in doing so, UNOC positions itself not merely as a commercial operator, but a steward of Uganda's oil and gas resources for the benefit of future generations. The mandate of the Kabalega Petro-based Industrial Park sets us back as far as 2018, like our chairman indicated, when the Ministry of Energy and Mineral Development handed over the development, operationalization, and the management of the park to UNOC. And UNOC executes this mandate through our dedicated subsidiary, the Uganda Refinery Holding Company, established to develop, operate, and manage both the refinery and the Petro-based Industrial Park. And the land allocation, investor onboarding, infrastructure, delivery, and governance are all run through this subsidiary. This industrial park spans just under 30 square kilometers, which is approximately 7,307 acres, a green development in Kabale sub-county in Hoima district, which is about 50 kilometers west of Hoima city, near Lake Albert. And it has anchor projects, as indicated earlier by our chairman, which is the crude export hub, the refinery, the pump station, the second international airport, and the termination of the feeder lines from Tilenga and Kingfisher developments. The park has 6 zones: the heavy industrial zone that hosts the refinery, petrochemical complex, fertilizer plant, polymer production, bonded warehousing, and a free trade area. Then the second zone will host light to downstream industries, which covers textiles, automotive parts, biofuels, and packaging. Zone 3 will be an agri-zone that covers fruits, vegetables, dairy, and meat. Then Zone 4 is a business park which provides for warehousing, cold chain, retail, and hospitality. And Zone 5 is the estate area which will offer housing from low to high density alongside schools, health centers, and technology campus. Then Zone 6 will be an administrative zone which will host the park's headquarters with the one-stop business center that will host most of the government agencies that are critical enablers for the park. So everything that I'll describe this morning follows a blueprint, the KIP, or Kabalega Industrial Park Master Plan. This was developed for the Ministry of Energy and Mineral Development by SMEC International, and a member of the Surubana Jurong Group, and was completed in 2017. And it was subsequently approved by the National Planning Fiscal Board in 2018, and it gives this park its legal standing and its 6-zone structure. The land for the park was acquired by the Ministry of Energy and Mineral Development. Again, it followed cabinet decision, which culminated into transferring of titles, with UNOC holding a lease to strengthen the investment outlook for the project. So both UNOC and our subsidiary, Uganda Refinery Holding Company, we are the administrators of this land on behalf of government, and we are able to offer this land to investors on terms that will be described during this presentation. Of course, any project has to put into consideration environmental and social safeguards. A project of this scale touches sensitive ecosystems, land, water, community systems, so environmental diligence has been built in from the outset. A strategic environmental and social impact assessment was completed in 2017 as part of the master plan process, examining the park's cumulative risks across construction, operations, up to decommission, and setting out a management plan covering land uptake, air, water quality, waste management, and community health and safety aspects. So the Ministry of Water and Environment approved the park's environmental and social impact assessment in 2023, covering a 20-kilometer radius from the center of the park. And that approval does not end without due diligence. In line with the National Environment Act, every individual project that will be housed in the park, the refinery, the airport, and each industrial facility still requires its own detailed assessment, reviewed and approved by NEMA before any construction begins. And that's a discipline UNOC applies without exception. Our chairperson has touched on the steering committee, but indeed the steering committee will be chaired or is chaired by the Permanent Secretary, Ministry of Energy and Mineral Development, with representations from different government agencies, including Petroleum Authority of Uganda, UIA, the Uganda Free Zones Authority, Ministry of Works, Ministry of Trade, among other several institutions. That's not the only governance that we have. Governance oversight for the Kabalega Petrol-based Industrial Park is anchored in the board of the Uganda Refinery Holding Company, chaired by Director Dr. Ivan Nule, who's present here with us. As the governing organ of the Uganda Refinery Holding Company, the board provides strategic direction and oversight for the park's development, ensuring that decision-making and land allocation, investor onboarding, and infrastructure delivery is guided by sound corporate governance, accountability, and in alignment with UNOC's broader mandate. There is a stage gate process that also guides all the critical decisions that we make. And this has been highlighted by the chairperson, but just to re-emphasize that, of course, we engage the investors, they express interests, they're evaluated by a land allocation technical committee, and then subsequent to that, there is an RFP process or request for proposals, which details full legal, financial, technical aspects, which we have to do a detailed due diligence on. And then subsequent to that, governance approvals through the executive committee and the board, investment committee, and finally, the main board for UNOC. And subsequent to that, of course, we get into contracting, which covers the leases and execution with site handover. So I'm happy to report that, of course, this project is bankable, and it was approved through the PIMS process under Ministry of Finance, Planning and Economic Development. And that listing followed the industrial park's successful passage through the Development Committee review process for our project concept, the pre-feasibility, and finally the feasibility study under the Public Investment Management System, which means that today we have approval through the system of a project close to $800 million of infrastructure. And I'll walk through what the priorities are in terms of the phased approach for this industrial park. The infrastructure is the single largest determinant of investor confidence at a greenfield site, such as this industrial park. And that is why UNOC, through the subsidiary Uganda Refinery Holding Company, has structured the park's infrastructure delivery into 3 costed phases, with phase 1 totaling to about $120 million, covering access roads, perimeter fence, the 4 gates, watchover towers, water and wastewater reticulation within the park with a treatment plant, medium voltage to low voltage power reticulation, IT and data center access within the park, a site office, business facilitation center, and then the police and fire stations. Then phase 2 will cost about $347 million, which will encompass upgrading of 20-kilometer gravel to tarmac, plus 20-kilometer new gravel, totaling to about 40-kilometer single carriageway road network. It will have an expansion of the water, IT, and power reticulation within the park, and a satellite police post, fire station, and warehousing, including cold chain facilities. And phase 3, equally $347 million, covering 24-kilometer single carriageway, plus the upgrade of the 40-kilometer single carriageway to dual carriageway, full capacity water, IT, power reticulation systems, and advanced fire equipment, rescue services, plus security protocols. So that totals to about $814.46 million. Phase 1, which is estimated at $120 million, is where our commercial and financial agreements are concentrated today. Cabinet has approved the financing for this phase through EKF, and it's designed to unlock every subsequent phase of this park's development. The design and procurement work is what turns a funded phase into a construction site. And here is the sequence. Phase 1 was detailed roads, water, power, wastewater, fencing, which was completed in 2025 in terms of designs. Then approval of phase 1 was given through the government procurement protocols. We've started construction of the UNOC site, which is still ongoing, and hopefully we'll close this by August. And the 86-kilometer scope of the road reticulation within the park, we awarded that to a sister company, NEC, with a target completion of August 2027. We all know about the 240 megawatt substation, which is currently at 85% completion, but this is being run by UETCL, again a sister company. And the updated master plan for the park was to reflect the revised road network, incorporating the topography, the naming of the streets, and the survey and the demarcation of the plots, which was completed. So at full build-out, this park will require approximately 34,000 cubic meters of water per day, plus a further 9,600 cubic meters a day for the refinery scope alone, which will be drawn by gravity from a reservoir that will be set at Kigaga Hill. And power for this park will come from the 240 megawatt substation, which I highlighted is at 85% complete. So before I speak of plans, let me speak of what is already on ground as well as we prepare for this. We prepare this park for investors here and everyone watching this broadcast. UNOC, through our subsidiary, has delivered the following ahead of the main infrastructure contracts. The roads, we've already opened up 11 kilometers as a pilot phase for investor access, and 86 kilometers will be opened up by a sister company, NEC. Then water, 10 boreholes been drilled to support phase 1 and phase 2 ahead of the main water reticulation network. Land preparation, over 400 acres have been scheduled for bush clearing and boundary demarcation in August 2026. Power, like I said, 240 megawatts, substation is on course. The security aspects, we maintain bi-monthly coordination meetings with UPDF, Uganda Police, and local leadership on security and emergency preparedness, and the site office, which is under construction. And all these works are supervised by our subsidiary. The land allocation policy and service fee framework is clear, and I want every investor watching us this morning to hear this clearly as well, that land at KIP is provided free of charge compared to what we see in most of the industrial parks in other jurisdictions to qualified investors. There is no purchase price for that land and no lease premiums. The only charge that is applicable is the service fee, which was approved by Cabinet, which is also a recurring fee that will support the park's infrastructure and shared services to put it at the level of a world-class standard for every tenant. Cabinet approved that framework in 2025, structured to sustainably cover costs of operating and maintaining the infrastructure, capital replacement, security, emergency response, and shared services. Cabinet set 3 tiers: general industries at $1.5 per square meter per year. Priority industries, meaning petrochemicals, fertilizers, downstream and agro-based industries, were put at a subsidized fee of $1.25, and the residential developments at $1 per square meter per year. These rates were benchmarked against leading industrial parks in East Africa and beyond, and set below most regional peers to offset the risk of investing in a greenfield site. And just by way of example, we have some comparators. Industrial parks in Tanzania, they have a cost of $1 per square meter per year. Namamve, 1.19. Kenya Athi, 3.12. Konza in Kenya, 3.12. In Thailand, the special economic zone, 0.723, which is almost graded like ours. Then South Africa in Richards Bay at 8.4. So land allocation itself allows and follows a published policy developed alongside this fee framework and executed exclusively by UNOC through the 5-gate process that I touched on earlier. So free land is never a loophole because it's governed and it will have opportunity for everyone to participate with transparency across the process. A park of this scale carries a carbon and land use footprint, no question about that. But we do not treat that lightly. Alongside our infrastructure work, our subsidiary runs a tree planting program across the park and its surrounding communities, restoring cleared land through grassing, reforestation, and partnering with schools and youth groups on tree nurseries, and working with the district authorities and environmental officers to protect the habitats around this park. To date, we've planted over 12,000 trees in the park as part of our UNOC Green Initiative. It is a modest program today, but a deliberate investment in the park's identity as Uganda's flagship smart and eco-industrial hub, not simply an industrial zone. 10 investors have been recommended for the award of land under Phase 1 across 197.5 acres, generating a combined service fee of over $1 million. Their projects span from LPG storage to steel drum manufacturing, media broadcasting infrastructure, fertilizer production, plastics, batteries, industrial gases, aviation cargo, and maintenance, already showing a breadth of industry in this park that it's built to host. And you will meet several of those players shortly. Before scaling the KIP land allocation policy to the full market, we validated it through a controlled pilot, testing the policy manually on a defined universe of unsolicited applicants already in its pipeline. And this approach allowed UNOC to identify gaps, build institutional capacity, and prove to the governance bodies, including our board, that the market, that KIP's onboarding framework is credible, structured, and the governance is complied with. The pilot projects ran for had two parallel programs using the same 5-stage gate process. Phase 1, with a cutoff 30th July 2025, which recommended 6 investors, including Total Energies, Movit Products, Roofings, Next Media, Luero Industries, Ventotia Capital, and this was across 163 acres. And Lot 1 targeted priority industries and recommended 4 investors: Uganda Airlines, Nice House of Plastics, Uganda Batteries, Briande Investments, across 85 acres. Phase 2 will move fully digital via the KIP portal, which we are launching today. Phase 2 is what we are opening today, and this is the heart of the address this morning. From today, UNOC is releasing 221 plots, totaling to 536.92 acres across 7 investment zones for expression of interest, submission through the portal that we are going to launch. The heavy industrial zone will have 9 plots. Downstream industrial zone will have 15 plots. Light industrial zone will have 14 plots. Agriculture zone will have 8 plots. Commercial business zone will have 66 plots. High density residential will have 37 plots. And low density residential will have 72 plots, totaling to 221 plots in an area of 536.92 acres. At full subscription, the land release generates an approximated $2.77 million in annual service revenue and $221,000 in one-off application fee, a combined first-year potential of slightly under $3 million. Even at a conservative 50% conversion rate, the first-year revenue is estimated at $1.6 million because application fees are collected at the time of expression of interest, regardless of the final award. So what happens next? For every investor asking what to do now, The KIP Investor Portal is open today for registration, site visit booking, and expression of interest submission. Requests for proposals and due diligence will run from September to November 2026 this year. Formal land award and site handover for successful Phase 2 applicants is targeted for December 2026 into January 2027. To our Phase 1 investors, your sublease terms are clear: a performance bond of 10% of land value, an 18-month development obligation, and site handover, time to shared infrastructure readiness. And UNOC will meet you at each of these milestones. The turnaround time is highlighted as indicated in the deck. Marketing and promotional campaigns, we commenced those in June 2026. Investor online registration, national launch, which we are having today, and post-launch site visit, a booking promotion targeted for till 22nd July 2026. Site visits will be planned for 29th July up into 12th August 2026. Then we'll call for expression of interest and evaluate those expressions of interest till September 2026. And then, of course, that will follow through the request for proposal into October 2026. Then we'll call for those requests and evaluate the proposals, and then do a due diligence with the hope of concluding this process within January 2027. And then we'll go through the requisite protocols of approval, and we hope to sign the lease agreements in February 2027 and award the land and site to be handed over in March 2027. The KIP Investor Portal is a unified digital platform that centralizes investment intelligence, streamlines investor onboarding, and enables real-time engagement between KIP management and prospective investors worldwide. It will offer a single entry point for all inquiries, documents, deal tracking, real-time analytics through live dashboards on site availability, incentives, rescue, institutional-grade data room with tiered access, and smart matchmaking that aligns investors to opportunities across all the sectors. Of course, it will be backed up by a 24-hour investor response time, fully digital onboarding, and over 100 investment opportunities. The timing is strategic. Uganda's first oil production is imminent, and the investor appetite is surging. KIP sits at the refinery nexus with unique downstream value chains. Global ESG mandates demand transparent digital investment framework, and regional peers such as Rwanda, Kenya, Ethiopia are running similar portals on their own. So today we'll go live with this portal. Why this KIP matters for Uganda? The chairperson has already touched on the numbers, but I want to give a little broader context on these numbers. If you have two big infrastructure projects, the refinery and the industrial park, with macroeconomic benefits for the refinery, as an example, impact to GDP, 3.3 billion, balance of payments, 591 million per year, net fiscal impact, about 804 million per year, national capital formation of about 8.2 billion per year. That's for the refinery scope. Coupled with the industrial park scope, with a GDP impact of 4.9 billion US dollars per year, balance of payments of 849 million per year, net fiscal impact of 1.2 billion per year, and a national capital formation of 11.9 billion per year, with a job spread between 32,000 to 35,000 jobs. There is all merit in us pushing the industrialization agenda. So in my closing, from a mandate handed to us in January 2018 to a master plan approved in June 18, to land now held and governed by one of our subsidiaries, to getting $814 million of infrastructure recognized as a bankable priority national project, to 10 investors already on ground and 221 plots now open. This is what 8 years of disciplined government-backed delivery looks like. So the 10 investors have shown us that this is possible. 221 plots now ask you to join. So please join the industrialization agenda for Uganda. KIP is open for business. Thank you so much for God and my country.
If you want something to work and work very well, you have to entrust it to women. When God made Adam the lead, the snake found it easy.
Developed fossil fuel-based infrastructure. If you look at Singapore, they're one of the largest refining hubs around the world. And that has been the core driver of their profitability, but also their economic growth. And similar to Uganda, we have a plan, we have a vision, and in the Bible they say, where there is no vision, the people perish. But now that we have a vision and UNOC is implementing that vision, we're very sure that our people in the country will prosper. To speak to your question, specifically, the sectors that are transformational, of course, are those that are linked to our economy as we see it, the agricultural processing space, the ability to generate fossil fuel-based fertilizers is catalytic not only locally, but also around the globe. It's one of the reasons why the world population has been able to jump to over 8 billion people, largely because the fertilizers have more than multiplied the productivity from the same space of land by over 10 times. So, and there's so many other products to do with the petrochemicals, some of those that are also used for energy, as well as those that are critical, such as plastics. What many people do not know is that plastics are also heavily utilized in the healthcare space. If you've been to any area where they do some sort of surgery, most of the material, from the gloves to the scrubs to the head wraps to all of those aspects, are actually made through plastics. So the product that we have is transformational. The message that we have is aligned to UNOC, that this is a unique opportunity not only for us as Ugandans, but also for the region. And I'll say you will not find a particular segment that doesn't have double-digit profit numbers. Thank you.
Well, that sounds quite attractive, I should say. I don't know if you've done any projections. A typical manufacturer in the KIP, what sort of projection have you done on ROI, but also job creation? A typical manufacturer, what should they expect? You have all these incentives, you have all this support, you have an ecosystem you're operating in. When it comes to return on investment and job creation, what should a typical manufacturer expect?
Well, I can't really say that I would speak for every manufacturer, but what we see is that the framework that UNOC has developed to be plug and play, where they have most of the supporting infrastructure. You have facilities to upgrade your staff. You have facilities to look after the livelihoods and the wider needs of not only your staff, but also your service providers. You have access to power, you have access to water, you have waste treatment as well. That allows any particular manufacturer to come in and focus on their core business. And you will realize that many other industrial parks around the country have suffered, largely because they do not have the same plug and play model. So what we do see is there's a massive opportunity for manufacturers to come in and focus on their core business and not only tie into the wider economy, but also tie into the oil and gas story. Just to give you an example, the oil and gas sector has been driving foreign direct investment by over 75% for the last 2 or 3 years. So there is no doubt that the sector will facilitate not only profitability at a manufacturer level, but also at the individual level. In terms of employment, these numbers have been mentioned. We are no longer in a state where you need to convince someone. The sector currently employs over 20,000 people directly. We anticipate with the refinery and the industrial park, that number will jump to over 35,000 directly. And also there will be an additional, call it around 100,000 that will be indirect and induced. So all of that is transformational, and all of that is a massive opportunity, not only for us as Ugandans, but also for the entire region.
Thank you, Tom. I'll go back to Peter, UIA, just to ask, there is an investor, local, international, watching this conversation on TV and online, and they are wondering, what are the simplest steps to take to secure my place in the park? Where do I begin?
Thank you very much. The first really stage is to ensure that you have yourself registered and you have a business plan. This does not have a shortcut in terms of ensuring that you are able to access the services in an industrial park like KIP. What is very important during that process is what we have had earlier on, to ensure that where there are gaps, you are open enough at the onset in terms of ensuring, for example, if there are any financial, requirements, then we are able to walk with you that journey in accessing the funding, be it from government or any commercial banks. The other issue that is normally an impediment is in terms of making sure that you map your kind of sources of raw material and you have that intact and zeroed in. If you're into the supply side, you are looking into yourself the offtake agreements so that you are end-to-end intact and you're not going to have any disruptions. At the middle, and that is where we sit, is to ensure that there is transition at every stage and also there is expansion. So we are going to work with either the local investor or the foreign investor to ensure that you are not static, that within the period that you have been given the lease, you are able to identify other areas of partnership, and then where it requires any joint venture, where it requires any government support, we sit with a policy booklet in terms of making sure that we open up space for you where you have any challenges. We also sit with the Presidential Investment Roundtable. We are able to fast-track policy amendments. As we speak, our team is working on an industrial policy where we are going to make sure that the issues which had previously impeded implementation, things around plug and play, are addressed in that kind of mode. So be it local investor, or I choose to call them domestic or foreign, we are here to walk with you that journey, and Uganda Investment Authority as a one-stop center, we are not leaving any stone unturned in terms of pulling together both partners in country, region, continent, and globally to ensure that you are effective. Thank you.
By the way, if an investor is within the East African community, are they local, are they domestic, are they foreign?
So that is local. We do recognize the domestic investor here, but when you cross the boundary in terms of making the 120,000 investment, then you become the foreign investor. But we do recognize the local investor as that one who has put forward 50,000 by classification within the East African region. Thank you.
Okay. Peter, UNOC, what is the current state of infrastructure? Most, I think, issues that have come up around industrial parks is roads, power, and even land allocation. Inside KIP, what is the current status of infrastructure in the park, and which zones are ready or near ready for business to start operations?
Yes, well, one thing I can say is the current state is that we've had coordinated designs. One of the biggest failures we've had in infrastructure development is having poor designs that are not coordinated and forward-thinking. So what UNOC has done is to ensure that, one, all the enabling infrastructure is planned. So we have power reticulation designs, we have a properly designed road network, and we have water reticulation, ICT, sewage, drainage. All those have been designed and well coordinated. So now, after that, what we've done now is to go to government and request for funding of this well-coordinated enabling infrastructure. And currently, you heard the CEO talk about and the board chair talk about the 120 million investment that government is going to do. So we are going to, after those designs have been developed, we've identified key zones that are demand-driven, like Lillian talked about. We are a demand-driven implementer. So based on the demand we've got from the preliminary investors and also key infrastructure developments that are within the park, we've mapped out a phase 1, which is supposed to take 3 years. But within the 3 years, currently what we've done is we have a power substation, 240 megawatts, that is already at 86%, and that is already guaranteeing our investors reliable power supply. We have 11 kilometers of roads that have preliminarily been opened up, gravel roads. This is basically to facilitate these first investors that have come in, and I can authoritatively say that we've signed a contract with NEC, which is going to open up now the entire park, 86 kilometers. Basically, what this is going to do is it's going to enable these early investors who've come on board to set up and be able to access their plots and be able to start the development. And we are hoping that the KIP funding, that the 120 million that has been talked about, we are going to, as the early developers come in, we shall also be implementing this phase 1 infrastructure. But what I can tell you is it is from a coordinated approach. You're not going to have retrospective developments, but they're all coordinated, which is a major factor that has actually affected quite a number of developments in the country. So that is what I can say about the current state. And what we are focused on is pure reliability of our investors. They must really get reliable plug-and-play services. All these service rates that we are talking about here, they're actually subsidized if you look at the world standards. And that is entirely meant to keep all that infrastructure that we've put in place to ensure that it's always at a service, it is always properly maintained, and investors we are not having complaints from investors. And we hope that with that reliability, we shall create a stimulus in terms of production for all the developments that are within the park. So we are really caring about reliability. Yep.
Well, yeah, that's quite interesting. Of course, reliability being a very, very important factor.
Yeah.
But let me go to Hayes. I might not be able to raise 50,000, but I'm an SME. Looking at the KIP as an export launchpad into East Africa and beyond. My question is, how do I plug in?
Thank you. Usually within the designs of special economic zones, there are areas we call incubation centers, incubation zones. Now, those incubation zones are for startups or small enterprises that have not yet matured, but they have been created with a focus on the external sector, on the external market. They could be in agro-processing, ICT innovation, BPO, and whatever it is. So once you have provided a few acres of land for such people, because in the future, those are the enterprises that are actually going to set up as the KIP, as the industrial zone keeps on expanding. And also, it helps grow the indigenous entrepreneurship base, so that we don't just have foreigners coming in with the big capital or the already established few big enterprises, but also supporting the young in terms of entrepreneurship and the youth in terms of age. And usually from the platforms that we have globally, and I can share this knowledge, because we are Uganda's representatives in the Global Alliance of Special Economic Zones, World Free Zones Organization, Africa Economic Zones Organization, there are platforms for young people, younger innovators, who are located in these incubation centers to come up and talk about what they are doing. If they need venture capital, if they need additional equity that they cannot generate themselves, but enter into shareholding arrangements, these platforms are there, and that's how those young people, young enterprises who do not have the 50,000, 50,000 is in US dollars, right? Yes, can plug in there and be able to grow their businesses as they also grow the economy. And the other experience we have is that these enterprises are the ones that actually create the biggest backward linkages in terms of demand. And that is good for household incomes. Thank you.
Thank you. Before I open up for 2 or 3 questions here in the audience, I also request the technical team to give me some questions online. I wanted to ask Peter UNOC, the allocation of land, 6 months. What is that processing? It's a very long time, and can it be made shorter? Or maybe there's some sense behind the 6 months that we may not be able to understand.
Okay, well, I think you heard from the previous speakers that the process has to be free and fair. So in that, you'll notice if something is rushed, you may not be able to do proper due diligence, and also give people time to actually prepare proper proposals to prove that they're eligible to actually invest. They have the financial muscle and business acumen to actually invest. So that time, if you noticed, there is time given to the developer to express interest. It is evaluated. After it is evaluated, they are given feedback, and then they are requested to prepare a request for proposal, which is actually a detailed, now that is, it is actually a detailed proposal. You heard Lydian talk about architectural designs. You must make a business case, this time in a detailed form. So you need the investor also to have time to actually prepare that detailed proposal. Now, since it is detailed, you also need time to properly evaluate it. And after evaluating it, you also need to go and do due diligence to all these places. And actually, that takes time. And the different investors here can testify. I'm sure they saw my face in their places. We reached each and every place of those investors to prove that they're actually doing the business. We asked for questions. We asked them for where they need support, actually. And I think you had some testimonials where some are actually reaching out to UNOC that can we joint venture in some of these areas. So even as we do that due diligence, we're also looking, like I told you, UNOC always tries to create value. Wherever we see potential value, we try to help these investors. So it is not just a process where it is a tick box, but we are actually going out and doing proper due diligence and ensuring that the investors, once they are onboarded, we are more than certain that they will actually deliver what they've promised.
So there's no way around it?
There's no way. That was a pilot study we did, and as you heard, the CEO said we were doing it manually, but UNOC is forward thinking. We are trying to bring on board technology. Probably with the onboarding of technology, it may actually turn around the time, but we can't anticipate that now. These timelines have been set based on the pilot study that we've done and the pilot of these initial investors that we've done. So we've been able to assess and see what is the average time an investor would prepare a detailed proposal, what is the average time would evaluate a detailed proposal. So with that, we've come up with a timeline that we feel is actually fair. And we hope that maybe with the technology, it may actually come. We have another phase. We have, as you notice, we're only giving out 221 plots. And I told you we have over 1,000 plots. So maybe in the other phases, as we improve on the technology and maybe experience on onboarding, we may, that turnaround time may actually be reduced. But as per now, this is based on the pilots that we've done.
Right, fair enough. I'll just take maybe 3 questions from the room and maybe some online, and then we wrap it up. I'll come to you, gentlemen, for your closing remarks. All right. Okay, someone help me move this mic. Thank you.
Thank you, Canary, our moderator, and the presenters. I hope I'm allowed to give a compliment. It's not a question as such. Yeah, my name's Jason Stewart Mwesigwa, working with Roofings Group, the strengths of the nation. I want to compliment Madam Proskovia, Nabanja, and team, and your board, who have ensured that we are in the first phase. First of all, I think we are proud to be among the early birds. Where is the Kasumba? He's not here. We always pick the hanging fruits. I'm sure Muramira there knows what we are doing in Namamve under UIA. Your process was very transparent, very seamless. If I can go by Lilian, she was demanding a lot of documents, a bit stressful, but it is now we are realizing that actually we escaped that process when they actually open up phase 2, which is going to go through the bidding process. We are lucky to have been early birds. So thank you very much. How I wish our biggest park, 29 square kilometers, and I forgot to say, by default, I happen to be a Munyoro, just in the neighborhood, Munyoro Kingdom. My brother there, is also a Kabalega grandson. So we are very proud that something like this investment can happen in Munyoro, rhyming with the oil and gas, which has already brought a lot of advantages. We have AFCON coming. We already have an international stadium. A number of hotels. Somebody was saying there was no accommodation, but I'm very certain that a number of hotels are going to come up, including 5-star hotels. They are coming up. And we are advantaged that we are neighboring Lake Albert, so crossing to DRC for business purposes, utilizing that natural resource as well, the lake. And of course, we know South Sudan upwards. It is going to be a very big advantage, not only for Bunyoro, but also for Uganda as a country and East Africa as a region at the end of the day. So I think this is the time for us, even if we don't pick the first hanging fruits, whatever would be the leftovers, we should take advantage. I want to thank you. And the audience, thank you very much for coming. Thank you.
Thank you, Chairperson. My name is Dr. Sebagala Demetrius, and I'm the Director of Brianda Investments Limited. I'm also Director in a company called Come Again Investments Limited, and we deal in textiles. So here I'm on the side of Brianda Investments Limited, and I am among the pioneers. I'm here to testify. I'm a purely Ugandan, okay? Purely Ugandan, and surprisingly, I seem to be one of the guys who have actually stepped up and gone up there to ensure that I get that piece of land. So we want to thank UNOC for the good work. The process, as that gentleman has stipulated, was very straightforward. Quite a lot of things to learn, okay? My advice goes to younger people, especially of our age, that please don't fear this. Okay, don't fear compliance. Please abide, get those different registration requirements. Don't let your business be in the books alone. It can actually grow, and you'll actually have access to good capital. Once you're formally structured, your business will actually grow. So mine is only one question. It is either to Tom. Tom is my OB, or the gentleman from Uganda Investment Authority. These are long-term projects that we intend to put across, okay? And is there any from the platforms or from the connections or from the organizations you engage with, in addition to UDB, is there access to additional development financing? Okay, because these are projects that we invest in a lot of money, and they are not projects that are going to just break even in about, let me say, 2, 3, 4 years. They really take time to come out. So what advice do you have for us who can continuously look for that sustainable, cheap, and patient capital? Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, Modulator. My name is Ronnie Katunji. I'm from NEC. I also want to extend our vote of thanks to UNOC for having worked with us to be one of the pioneers in terms of getting land within KIP. The process has been, just like I said in the video, seamless with us and UNOC. But now that we have crossed that milestone and acquired our plot, UNOC will know that we've been one of the people that have been running, really itching to start operating. We have seen there is structures in terms of the fees that we'll pay for the park, but for these projects like ours, they are very much still tied to a lot of things, including the developments that will probably come in phase 2 or phase 3 of KIP, including the refinery. So the feedstock for the fertilizer project that we're looking to work on would come directly from the refinery and all these things. So my question is whether there is, to UNOC, whether there is that arrangement where you're going to sort of work hand in hand with your investors to ensure that our projects are aligned with your projects, which means we'll probably need some technical data on a daily basis from you to be able to fine-tune our projects. So that's my question to UNOC, whether that will be facilitated so that we can move at the same pace. Thank you very much.
Thank you. My name is Joel Paul Kiza, representing Uganda National Airline. One, I want to appreciate UNOC and congratulate them on the milestone. But I'm also here to confirm our readiness as the airline that yes, we are ready to do the cargo warehousing. We are ready to offer ground handling services to all other airlines that will also join us, and of course to run the approved aircraft maintenance for the region. Thank you.
Thank you. Very good afternoon to you all. Wish to send a vote of appreciation to UNOC and under the stewardship of the CEO. We greatly appreciate. There are some questions that have been posed. I'm not going to attempt to answer them. I'll only supplement, but I know what you're speaking to. My name is Ochanda Jimmy from EcoBank, representing my MD. In that regard, we know that with the works that have gone in are very significant. The money that has gone in is significant. We have had the numbers, and we also look at the mid-term, long-term, where they're going. And as banks, they perform a critical role in supporting the various sections, manufacturing, logistics, and all. So mine was going to be more of an observation, and I believe UNOC and the plenary team here will also leverage on that. There are a lot of frameworks that we have walked through today around the safety, around logistics and all. Would like to volunteer to say if there's a steering committee, because the amounts involved, no single bank can do that. That's why we're looking at looking to go to development finances of sorts. But if there's a financial framework in which we will be able to support the various players at various levels, that would be a notion to consider. Thank you, I submit. All right, thank you for your questions and comments and your commitments. I'll let the panel answer the questions, but also their last word. There's this question from YouTube. It's from Katera Anthony, and he says, this is a massive milestone for Uganda's economy. I don't know who will answer this, maybe UNOC or UIA. How is the government balancing this massive petrochemical industrialization with environmental conservation for the surrounding ecosystem? This is Katera Anthony. So whoever is positioned to answer that maybe can. We'll begin with you, Peter.
I will answer the one on access finance, then I'll leave the difficult one for petrochemicals for UNOC. Access to finance attracts us to what we are grappling with at the moment in terms of attracting this investor globally. And that is preparedness in terms of data. As long as you have your data very well synchronized with what you say that you're doing, right, in terms of your value chain and where your cash or your revenue is coming from, be specific, we will be even willing to mortgage with you in terms of giving guarantees. We are doing that, and nothing prevents that from UNOC from doing that in terms of tapping into either the local financing options or global financing options. I also ride on my brother Uchanda's earlier comment around being able to mobilize capital wherever it is in terms of joint financing or what we call Uchanda syndication, thank you. Loan syndication, where you believe that you can, as a bank, go to a certain extent, bring in the government, bring in Uganda Development Bank, and then fast track. The idea on financing what we have seen crippling investment is delay, time, in terms of this paperwork, if only financial institutions could be very explicit in terms of their requirements, study the client, study the value chain, understand the environment they're in, and I want to really thank, banks like EcoBank, banks like, Stanbic that have been very deliberate in terms of even going to the level of a small-scale producer. At Uganda Investment Authority, what we are going to do is to ensure that we leverage on digitization. And you've heard of our small and medium enterprises portal. This one, anyone can tap in. As my colleague has been saying, it is easier to cluster and then tap into the financing options. So when we segment the investors, and we know that this kind of class of investors or this segment of investors is producing this kind of scale, then the justifications are easier in terms of accessing money. But as far as sources are concerned, there are many hands willing to give money, but it's us on our hand to ensure that we are making sure that you're ready to access this level of financing. Thank you.
Thank you. Hayes, we'll use, I think, 2 minutes each, so because we're out of time.
Thank you very much, Canary. I want to say it is very exciting. We have one large-scale industrial zone, special economic zone, taking off. We are planning for more 5 as a country, one in West Nile, one in northern Uganda, around Lamo area, north of Fort Patiko, one in western Uganda, Nakaseke area, we are also looking at it, and also eastern Uganda. So once all these come up, and they are going to be large scale, minimum 10 square miles, you know what this country will look like. Secondly, we are going to support KIP in marketing it using our different regional, continental, and global platforms for developer and operator attraction. I want to just mention that this industrial park is next to the DRC border. DRC border is one of our largest markets in terms of merchandise exports, about $1 billion annually. And that is going to be another point of marketing. But of course, it is within an ecosystem that is aligned with the ATMs. It's a rich agricultural area. It is a biodiverse area in terms of flora and fauna to attract tourism. So when people come to the Kabalega Industrial Park, they can also go to Kabalega Milestone Falls, Game Park, and then the surrounding areas. Financing. We have understanding with Afrexim Bank. If you have your paperwork well organized and it is within the business model of Afrexim Bank, that's the Africa Import and Export Bank, will be able to handhold you along that journey. For the environment, in gazetted industrial zones, the requirement of a certificate of environmental and social impact assessment is a requirement. It's a prerequisite because the industrial zone needs to satisfy itself that the investment is not going to be destructive to the environment. That is a standard requirement, and I hope it is in your documents as KIP. Lastly, I want to thank UNOC for launching KIP, and we are looking forward to making sure that we support you, we work together as regulators, and we ensure that the investors, the developers, the operators are onboarded to attract decent, patient capital into our economy. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Hayes. Peter.
Yes. I'll answer a few questions that came up. One was regarding the coordinated infrastructure development. In relation to the key infrastructure developments, like the refinery, and also vis-a-vis the investors that are coming on board. And what I can say to all investors, not just NEC, is that UNOC won't abandon you when you come to the park. We are going to support you and ensure that you actually achieve your objective. That's why we've set up already preliminary a site office in place that is under construction. And it's preliminary, it's meant to help every investor who has any query, any inquiry to actually come and be served. So in that regard, with regards to the development of the refinery, we shall be working with the various investors that are being onboarded so that we sort of plan their development so that it syncs with the development of the refinery. I can state that the general manager, URHC, is not around because he's actually chasing the implementation of that job. So he's actually ensuring that early next year, you should be seeing something with regards to the refinery start to be set up. So in that regard, we shall coordinate with all investors and support them to the end. Then the other one I can talk about, I think someone talked about funding. Maybe one thing I can state from my side is us as UNOC, because you've heard us say we are targeting a green, smart city. Now, what that entails is that in terms of how you deal with your resources, you're actually optimizing them. You're using exactly what you want. You're sort of limiting waste. So we have a zero waste model in KIP. Maybe you are not taken through to see how the feedstock from the refinery feeds the heavy industries. Meanwhile, that is the waste from the refinery. It will feed the heavy industry. From the heavy industry, which has the polymers and fertilizers, they will be processed, and these will feed the downstream industry. So, as you notice in the ecosystem in the industrial park, we are trying to minimize waste, and there is actually ongoing research we are doing that where we are targeting a zero waste industrial park. In other words, what does this mean? The impact to the environment will be minimized to the dot. We are fronting ICT. In other words, we are developing sort of like a digital twin. What this is going to help us with is to ensure that us as UNOC, we're able to do simulations, we're able to project how the park is developing, we're able to identify risks early enough and ensure that the park is developed in a sustainable way. Sustainability basically deals with ensuring that you use what you need for now and preserve some for the future with minimum effects to the environment. So we are doing that. And then also you heard of the tree planting scheme that we are currently doing, about 12,000 trees planted so far. Basically what that means is we are trying to do some carbon offsetting, and we've actually gone in early before even the industries come in, before the refinery comes on board. So we are going to offset that carbon footprint that is intended, that may come up from the industries, and with the various initiatives that we are doing, we should be able to offset a big number of that. And actually, it is also extending way beyond the park. There are tree planting schemes we are having in the Elgon area and lots of other areas that UNOC is actually doing. And basically, this is to decarbonize and help do the carbon offsetting from the park. Maybe my parting shots, what I can say is to all the investors there, you may not have seen some of your businesses being talked about here, but what I can encourage you is come to UNOC and we speak. There are lots of endless opportunities. If that master plan is projected out there, there are endless opportunities. One I can mention offhand is, you know that we can have even a golf course in there, in that green belt. It is something that would support the hospitality industry and all that. But it's not being talked about here. But what I'm opening up to the investors out there is the park has endless opportunities. When you talk of ICT, smart city, there are all business lines in that chain I've talked about, as you get feedstock from one industry zone to another. All that requires some sort of processes in there that actually business lines. When I talk of waste management, that is a business line in there. So there are some businesses we've not talked about here that we can actually get. Then also for those who want to get funding, We intend to go green, so there are green bonds. We intend to reach out to some banks that offer that. And if you're implementing these sustainable strategies, we should be able to liaise with some financial institutions that are actually willing to give this green financing, and it's actually available. Thank you,
Peter. Tom, very briefly.
Okay, thank you very much. Dr. Sebagala, it would be good to see you. Sometimes as OBs, we only meet at barriers, but it's very good to see you in some of these serious places. In terms of financing, a lot have been said. I'll just add on a few shots. I think, one, you have work to do. You have to build a bankable case. But also in doing that, you need to be clear on what exactly needs funding. Most times, from an industrial perspective, what you need to fund is the equipment. So you're looking at export credit financing, and as has been mentioned, those are usually available. You're also looking at things around offtake and contract financing. So can you find some buyers for your product, and those will actually be able to finance your development. I think that's it in terms of questions. Very quickly, in terms of the parting shots, this is a model that has been done. We've seen it in Asia, we've seen it in Singapore and the like, and thus, for them, they based it on importing crude. The opportunity that we have is we have the crude within the country, and hence we have no impediment and no excuse to fail. To the general public, this is a pivotal moment. Your children, 20, 30 years ago, 20, 30 years later, will ask you, but daddy, but mommy, what were you doing? People were getting land in KIP. Yeah? Where were you? So do not sleep on this opportunity and take maximum use of it. I'll leave you with this. Could everyone in the room just put your 10 fingers up like this? Yeah? For every product that I mentioned today, put one finger down, right? So if you brush your teeth with a plastic toothbrush, one finger down. If you squeeze toothpaste out of a plastic tube, another finger down. If you're a lady and you use lipstick, another finger down. If you're a lady and you use nail polish, another finger down. If you applied perfume and you're a man or a gentleman, or even deodorant, another finger down. If you drove on a road paved with asphalt, another finger down. If you are in a suit that has polyester, another finger down. If you are in a tie that also has polyester, another finger down. If you are seated in a room that has a carpet, yeah, that was made from another finger down. If you drank water out of a plastic bottle, another finger down. If you applied lotion this morning, another finger down. If you're wearing glasses, if you own a mobile phone that has plastic, does anyone have any fingers left? So that is what we're trying to do. The reach that this industry has is transformation. And that is what UNOC is doing for the country. Thank you.
Thank you very much. A round of applause for the panelists. Thank you so much. You may now take your seats. That was quite practical, Tom. Next time I have this conversation, I'm going to use it. All right. And now we're going to get into our closing remarks. And the launch is coming to the end. However, like I said earlier, the future is here. The future has a name. The name is just right there, Kabalega Petro-based Industrial Park. It has a location. We know about it. And now it's open for business. Let's get that soundtrack as we do welcome, yet once again, the chairperson, Board UNOC, Mr. Matthias Katamba, to give the closing remarks. Oh, sorry, apologies. As we welcome the chairperson, URHC Board, Dr. Ivan Lule. Beg your pardon.
According to the program, I was supposed to give a keynote speech and closing remarks, but I know you're all tired so I will only do the closing remarks such that you don't leave me alone in the room. But thank you very much for staying with us in this last segment as we launch the KIP Industrial Park. I wish to congratulate UNOC and Uganda upon this great milestone, which marks the start of an amazing journey and a great contribution to the industrialization efforts of our country. As a country, we are on a journey to achieve the tenfold growth strategy, which has 4 growth pillars in the area of agriculture, in the area of tourism, mineral beneficiation or mineral development, as well as science, including ICT. As a strategic state enterprise, UNOC, as well as URHC, plays a central role in the realization of the mineral-based industrial development, including oil and gas. This anchor area focuses on undertaking quantification of mapped mineral deposits and their governance regime and delivering of the first oil as we prepare for commercializing operations of the petrochemical industry, which will be hosted in the Kabalega petrol-based industrial park. As already mentioned, the national focus is on value addition. Therefore, the Kabalega petrol-based industrial park is a flagship project and zoned to act as an enabler for the industries that will facilitate value addition. The project is key in delivering the Sustainable Extractive Industry Development Program for the 4th National Development Plan. As the chair of the Uganda Refinery Holdings Company, we are glad and proud that we are spearheading this flagship project. And today I have great joy to witness the launch of the phase 2 of the investor onboarding to the Kabalega petrol-based industrial park. This morning, you heard the chairperson of UNOC board open our proceedings. The CEO of UNOC also gave an account of the progress made so far, and our regulator, the Petroleum Authority of Uganda, also explained how oil and gas has already powered sectors far beyond the wellhead. You have also watched 7 out of 10 of the pioneer investors recognized for the confidence they have placed in this park before its roads were paved or its power fully energized. I hope some of you will have the chance to go there one of these days. The digital investor portal, through which the 221 plots have been identified, is now open for expression of interest. Each of these moments has told the same story from a different vantage point, that Uganda's oil discovery is no longer only a conversation about barrels, pipelines, and final investment decision, but a conversation about factories, jobs, and the industries of our children we viewed for their careers in. You have also been informed that the park is listed as a bankable project on the Integrated Bank of Projects hosted by the Ministry of Finance, Planning and Economic Development. This is not a very simple achievement. With an infrastructure capital requirement of US $800, the government has prioritized the park within government's own investment pipeline, exhibiting government's commitment. It also matters that this park does not sit in isolation. It anchors a wider national corridor that includes the Uganda Refinery, the East African Crude Oil Pipeline, the pump station number 1, the planned Kabalega International Airport, and the upstream fields of Tilenga and Kingfisher. If you saw the video, we had some of these images. An investor who sets up in the heavy industry zone, the light and downstream industries hub, or the agri-zone is not simply leasing a plot in Hoima. This is a strategic positioning inside a logistics network that reaches Uganda's domestic of over 45 million and through the regional market of over 700 million. This is the viewpoint that I want every investor watching us today to target and harness, as highlighted, such as the benefits of proximity to feedstock, power, and water. To every entrepreneur, manufacturer, banker, and policymaker watching us this afternoon, the expression of interest window that UNOC has opened today is not an invitation to observe from a distance. For decades, Uganda has exported what it grows and imported what it manufactures. This spark exists to reverse the narrative in plastics, fertilizers, petrochemicals, agro-processing, logistics, and the light industries this country urgently needs to create jobs at scale. Land at Kabalega is available for free of charge. Land is available for free of charge, subject only to a service fee, benchmarked below our regional peers in Kenya, Tanzania, South Africa, and Thailand. I encourage you to register on the investor portal, to book your site visit, and to bring your expression of interest forward in the same speed that our 10 pioneer investors did when this park was still, to most observers, more promise than pavement. As we close this broadcast, allow me to extend thanks to the chairperson and board of UNOC, the ones responsible for the subsidiary, for the governance discipline with which the park has been prepared, to the CEO and management of UNOC for the operational progress you have accounted for so thoroughly this morning, to the Petroleum Authority of Uganda, our regulator, thank you so much, the Uganda Investment Authority, and the Uganda Free Zones and Export Promotions Authority, and to every steering committee representative for the coordination that has been brought in this park the bankable status with government's own pipeline. I cannot forget to recognize the policy arms that have been part of this journey, including our shareholders, the Ministry of Energy and Mineral Development, the Ministry of Finance, Planning and Economic Development, and other ministries that are in charge of lands, the ministry that are in charge of agriculture, the ministry that is in charge of trade, the ministry that is in charge of justice, the ministry that is in charge of water, ministry in charge of works, and other partners like NEC that have been part of this journey. To NBS Television and Next Media, thank you for hosting a national investor launch under circumstances that demanded a different kind of broadcast, and for standing among our phase one investors as recipients of a media and broadcast hub in this very park. Thank you to our 10 pioneer investors for the confidence you have placed in the park before its infrastructure was complete. And to every Ugandan who has followed this broadcast, in your homes, in your offices, in your factories, thank you for the interest you continue to show in our country in building a strong nation. The Kabalega Petro-based Industrial Park is open for business. I now declare this launch formally closed and welcome you to invest. I thank you for God and my country.
Thank you so much, Dr. Lole, and appreciate that. Well, now we'll be, of course, closing this broadcast. I cannot add on that powerful closing. 29 square kilometers of land, spanning 29.57 square kilometers, strategically designed, integrated ecosystem, KIP. You should visit. The QR code is going to be on the screen. Scan and get onto the details that you may want. And now, for this broadcast, we cross over live to NBS Live at 1 with Julius Buchana. Good afternoon.
Thank you so very much, Kanari Mugume, right there. And of course, congratulations to UNOC and that very project that they've been having on the set. Let's go to Live at 1. I am Julius Buchana. Congratulations to NBS Television for the 18 years of broadcasting live. My name is Julius Buchana once again. Parliament Director of Communications and 6 other parliamentary officials have been remanded until 27th of July 2026. These accused persons are facing 9 counts of embezzlement, causing Parliament and financial loss and money laundering. Watch.